We will kill you for our woman.
All right.
I'm making it plain, yes.
All right. All right. How's everybody doing? Okay. So welcome back. All right. So hey, this is Michael Imhotep. Hey, we're doing a live broadcast of the Michael Imhotep show here on the African History Network, broadcasting on Facebook Live also. So that was a little clip of Malcolm X, who taught you to hate yourself. Well, yesterday was Easter Sunday, right? So you had people going to church yesterday, wearing Easter suits, and children wearing Easter suits, things like this. You had people participating in Easter egg hunts. Different locations also, Easter egg hunts also. Okay, so you had a lot of this taking place, but oftentimes people don't know the history of Easter. For instance, when I do presentations, I was speaking at a church for African American History Month back during February, and I asked the question, what determines when Easter is celebrated? What determines when Easter is celebrated? Easter is the immovable feast. It occurs on a different Sunday, usually each year. If Jesus the Christ, or Yeshua, okay, now what I say may go outside the circumference of some people's awareness. Just because you never heard it before, just because you don't like it, does not mean it's not true. It means you have to do some research to understand what I'm talking about. So you have, I asked the question, what determines when Easter is celebrated? Well, most people don't know. Or they may say their pastor, or they say the calendar determines when Easter is celebrated. Well, Easter is a movable feast. Christmas is not a movable feast. Christmas, people celebrate Christmas on December 25th each year, right? That's not a movable feast. And nowhere in the biblical text does it state that Jesus the Christ was born on December 25th, okay, or Yeshua, because the letter J wasn't created until 1630 AD. The letter J was not created until 1630 AD. Okay, so the letter J is derived from the letter I. So in the story, his mother did not call him Jesus. If you look up the word Jesus in the dictionary, the etymology of the word takes you back to Yeshua. Okay, just so people understand. Well, Easter is celebrated on the first Sunday following the first full moon following the vernal equinox. Easter is celebrated on the first Sunday following the first full moon following the vernal equinox. So we're going to get into that. Okay, so this deals with some of the history and background of Easter, and it ties into also the pre-Christian traditions, what some people may call quote unquote pagan traditions. Also, and the term pagan comes from the Latin word pagus and paganus, okay, which just basically meant something indigenous to a rural district, something practiced by people in a rural district, or something like that. Okay, it became to be something negative. It became to be something negative when you have Christians, especially in the Roman Empire, trying to negatively label non-Christian people. Okay, so Christianity becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire around 312 AD under Constantine, and you have an attempt to try to label negatively the traditions of people who the Romans are conquering, who are non-Christians. All right. Okay, so now Easter is the major festival of the Christian church, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus the Christ. Jesus the Christ, because Christ is a title, not a name. If you read books like The World's 16 Crucified Saviors by Kersey Graves, or Christianity Before Christ by Dr. John G. Jackson, you'll see that Christ is the title, coming from the English word Christ, coming from the Greek Christos, coming from the Kemetic term Ka-rest, K-A-R-S-T, Ka-rest, which means the rising of the spirit, the Ka-rest. Okay, so it's the major festival of the Christian church each year. It's more of a major festival than Christmas, even though Christmas is more commercialized and it's a larger commercial event. Okay, based upon religion, Easter is a more significant event than Christmas. Okay, and Easter celebrates the resurrection of Jesus the Christ on the third day, not 3 days later, as some people say, on the third day after his crucifixion. Now, in Western churches, Easter falls on a Sunday between March 22nd and April 25th. The latest Easter is going to occur is April 25th. The earliest it will occur is March 22nd. And this depends on the date of the first full moon after the spring equinox. Now, equinox coming from the Latin word equinoctium, which means equal nights, and vernal, the vernal equinox marks the first day of spring. The vernal equinox occurs on either March 20th or usually March 21st. And vernal is Latin for spring, S-P-R-I-N-G. Vernal is Latin for spring. Spring has nothing to do with a rodent seeing its shadow or not seeing its shadow. Okay, this is all based upon astronomy. Now, even though the New Testament contains no reference to an annual feast celebrating the resurrection, okay, of Jesus the Christ, the practice was well established by the 2nd century AD. The practice was well established by the 2nd century AD. Okay. Early churchmen were divided on whether to hold a feast on 14 Nisan, N-I-S-A-N, 14 Nisan, which was the date of the biblical Pesach, which was the Passover, okay? This morphed into the name Easter in many languages, or the following Sunday, or on the following Sunday. Now, disputes and excommunications ensued in this controversy until the Council of Nicaea in 325 decided that Easter must fall on a Sunday. Okay, so this was one of the outcomes of the First Council of Nicaea, and okay, so we'll go ahead. This is one of the outcomes of the First Council of Nicaea. There were 21 ecumenical councils from 325 AD to about 1870, and the first one was the First Council of Nicaea. Now, so eventually, the date was formulated roughly as the first Sunday after the first full moon that occurs on or after the vernal equinox. Now, this can range between March 22nd and April 25th. Okay, Nisan, the Hebrew word Nisan, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but Nisan, N-I-S-A-N, is the first month in the Babylonian calendar, and it corresponds corresponding to parts of March and parts of April. Okay, so now Easter is a movable feast. Easter also refers to the season of the church year called Easter tide, or the Easter season. Traditionally, the Easter season lasted for the 40 days from Easter Day until Ascension Day. The first week of the Easter season is known as Easter week, or the octave of Easter. The octave of Easter, O-C-T-A-V-E. The week from Palm Sunday to Easter is known as Holy Week, and Easter also marks the end of Lent. Which is a season of fasting and prayer and penance as well. Now, when we look at when we look at the origin of the name Easter, Easter, the origin of the name Easter. So, like a lot of Christian feasts, celebration of Easter contains a number of originally, quote unquote, pagan or folk religious elements tolerated by the Christian church. Now, at this time, okay, because Easter goes back to the practice, even if they didn't use that term at that point, but the practice of what we call Easter goes back to second century A.D. Okay, in second century A.D. there was no Catholic Church in second century A.D. You have the Eastern Orthodox Church in second century A.D. The Catholic Church comes into existence in the 11th century A.D. Around 1050 A.D. This is when the Catholic Church comes into existence. So I know a lot of people like to say that the Catholic Church exists. I know when they talk about the Council of Nicaea, they like to say the Catholic Church. Catholic Church historically did not exist then. Okay, that was the Eastern Orthodox Church. Now, among the Easter customs, or among customs associated with Easter, you have Easter eggs, you have Easter breads, and other special holiday foods, and the European concept of the Easter hare, Hare, the Easter hare, and in America, it became the Easter rabbit, okay, which brings baskets of candies and colored eggs during the night, okay. And a lot of us, when we were kids, we were taught that the Easter bunny would bring us gifts, things like this, right? Okay, so now the pagan roots of Easter involve the spring festivals of pre-Christian Europe and the Near East, which celebrates the rebirth of vegetation, welcoming the growing light as the sun becomes more powerful in its course towards summer. Now, the term pagan comes from the Latin word pagus, Pagus, which means country or rural district. Okay, and it comes from the late Latin word paganus, Paganus, which means country dweller or civilian. So basically, something that was pagan was just something that was from or practiced, or something that was indigenous to country dwellers. Okay, things like this, in someone in a rural district, and this became a negative term that Romans are going to use basically to describe non-Christian people. Okay, especially after they, Christianity becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire around 312 A.D. All right, now, it is significant that in England and Germany, the church accepted the name of the pagan goddess Easter. Okay, in Anglo-Saxon, it was Eostre, Eostra, Eostre. Okay, in Anglo-Saxon, we know that the Anglos and the Saxons are two groups of Germanic people who are going to go into what we call England. Okay, these are two groups of barbarians, the Anglos and the Saxons, and we know they're going to, in 1607, come to Jamestown, Virginia. All right, so Eostre was a and the name has different spellings. You'll see it Eostre as well. But Eostre was a Anglo-Saxon deity, a fertility deity, a goddess. Okay. Now, in Mediterranean Europe, in Italy, Spain, and France, Christianity adopted Pascha, Pascha, a word derivative of Passover, from which comes the adjective paschal, or paschal, Paschal, for things pertaining to Easter, such as the paschal lamb. Okay. Now, The name for Easter may have come from Eostre, now Eostre, who was a Teutonic goddess of spring and fertility. Okay, and the Teutonic people, they lived in Jutland, Jutland, which today is Denmark. Okay, they lived in Jutland, which today is Denmark. So these are different Europeans, and his name goes through different European languages. All right. So in Anglo-Saxon language, it's Eostra, Eostra. But she was a fertility deity, um, and you'll also see the name Ostara. Okay, Ostara. That basically deal with the same thing, and she was accompanied by a hare, Hare. Okay, possibly the ancestor, and this is believed. This is where the concept of the Easter Bunny comes from. This is where the rabbit comes in. Now, the association of both the rabbit and eggs with Easter is probably the vestige of an ancient springtime fertility rite. So we know that rabbits are associated with quick productivity as well. Okay, and we have to get to where do chicken eggs come in, because the rabbit, the Easter bunny, why is the Easter bunny bringing chicken eggs? Because those eggs that you're painting and decorating, those are chicken eggs. Why is the Easter bunny bringing chicken eggs? Okay. All right. So, but this is coming from different ancient European pagan customs, and these things get incorporated into Christianity as the Roman Empire, as they're conquering these different groups of people who have different beliefs and different rituals, etc. Now, according to the 8th century theologian known as the Venerable Bede, Bede, the Venerable Bede, he's the one who came up with the dating system of AD and BC. The Venerable Bede, who was later canonized as a saint, he's the one that came up with the dating system of AD and BC. AD, Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord, BC, meaning before Christ. According to him, Easter is named for Eostre, Eostre,